The Sega Dreamcast was absolutely an amazing system and ahead of its time. I can still remember that I owned my first Sega Dreamcast back in the day. And yep, it was a very long time ago because I think it was already completely out of the market. Sega stopped producing these things and I bought one second hand for around €150, including 2 controllers, and I think around 15 different games. But in this video I'm not going to be chit-chatting with you guys about everything that I experienced with the Sega Dreamcast, and I mean particularly when it comes to playing the games. In this video I just want to focus on the hardware ways we can play, because we have reviewed all kinds of different Dreamcast modules and kind of crazy, let's say, upgrades that makes playing on the Sega Dreamcast even more fun. And not to forget, it's absolutely amazing that we have so many different ways to play, but also to upgrade your Sega Dreamcast. And just to also improve it when it comes to an HDMI functionality, an SD function, a new case, it's absolutely crazy. But getting the PlayStation 2, ah man, I must say amazing time it was. From the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2 was such a big leap forward. But let me know in the comments what was your first system, PlayStation 2 or maybe the Sega Dreamcast. I also understand that it depends what kind of region or country you actually live in, because PlayStation 2 was completely hyped. There was only one single store for the Dreamcast that was actually selling games, I can still remember. But it doesn't matter today, we do have the Sega Dreamcast and it's going to be absolutely a blast to the past, so join me and let's go. The actually first modified system that I bought from AliExpress was the one with a hard drive inside. There were a couple of different versions out there, and in the near future we're also going to check out the updated versions, because there are all kinds of different ones out there. I think they were selling this with an 160GB or 120GB storage and also one with 350GB. But if you're going to be opening up, you can actually see that there's a completely different module. And this is not like a plug and play situation like the GDEMU. Cleaning, that is something they never do when it comes to, let's say, the AliExpress products. That also includes the battery that they will never replace most of the time. Maybe in the future they will do so. But overall, when you're looking at the device itself, it still has the original PSU inside. And that is something you need to take consideration, because if you're getting the same region I'm doing, it may be highly possible you're going to be blowing up the PSU. So you also need to double check if you're going to be having the right, let's say, voltage when it comes to the PSU there. So another thing is, they're using old school Hitachi drives, and so far I can see it's also very old technology. So upgrading this with an SD would be cool and would be absolutely great, but I don't know if this is even possible. It's running on different kind of software and also out of date. The power supply unit seems to be cleaned up, so that's a good thing, and also all the capacitors are also in good condition, and it looks almost that they have been replacing them. So the hard drive already mentioned before, this is absolutely not a new hard drive because they don't make the size anymore. So I'm not a big fan of this, simply because a hard drive, it's possible that they're going to be failing in the future. So I think it's more reliable to have an SSD or an SD card of a good brand in the inside. The software that is running on the machine itself is going to be Dreamshell. So let's boot it up, and here you can actually see we're having the original PAL mainboard in the inside. But after that it will boot up automatically in the Dreamshell boot file, and that's it. So, but the only thing is, adding games to this is not going to be an easy task, simply because we have an old hard drive. So you need to have the right connectivity to get yourself connected to a PC and add your games. But let's take a close look at the games that are on the machine itself. The overall, let's say, collection is quite good. Navigation through the menu feels kind of clunky and feels kind of difficult. So we do have VMU Manager, we have the ISO loader and all the other things. But one of the things I already noticed is actually playing some games. Unfortunate, we're missing some soundtracks. And I understand that the Dreamshell, it's not the best, let's say, way to play, because they do have some overall problems with when it comes to actually loading up games and playing. Again, this game doesn't have any sound, so I don't know what's going on, if this is a problem with the GDI files they are using, that they just basically skip the audio files when adding the games. Hey, we have some sound. I know still you can pick up these things for not a lot of money, completely modified, with a hard drive in the inside. But those are new versions now, and this older version is just completely out of date. But it's just one cool thing to collect and play your games. The GDEMU hit the market some time ago, and this is absolutely maybe one of the best ways and the most affordable ways to play when it comes to, let's say, playing from a storage device. Where there is no soldering needed, this thing is absolutely a plug and play solution. The unfortunate thing is that as making these videos, some of the GDEMU modules have becoming very expensive and maybe like double or triple the price where they used to be. And that's quite unfortunate. One of the things they did implement was like having the option to remove the battery, and of course the SD cards can be replaced fairly easy. When you compare the GDEMU against the Dreamshell, the GDEMU is so much better, like it looks so much more clean, and also some extra information where you know what kind of region, if it's VGA enabled, and what kind of disk, how many disks you're having, and even the date and the version. So when it comes to this, even having this very nice looking picture, and let's say the overall experience is so much better when it comes to the GDEMU. But when it comes to the GDEMU, it's absolutely an amazing upgrade when you're looking at all the options. Compared with the Dreamshell, this is in my opinion absolutely one of the best ways to go to if you want to upgrade your Dreamcast and have a lot of fun playing some nostalgic games, especially when your optical drive has been dying, because that's just absolutely one of those main problems with these old devices now. One of the things I was missing was actually something that looks more nice, and that is a huge hole inside of my system. And that's one thing I also noticed with the hard drive with Dreamshell. But I don't own a 3D printer, and thanks to AliExpress we have some sellers having completely kit, so you don't need to mess around with it, where you can just actually use a 3D printed kit and makes this thing look so much better. The 3D kit, I think it was even having different kind of colors now. I think it was black, white, even yellow, blue, all kinds of colors, and even matching ones if you want to upgrade your Dreamcast with a different shell from AliExpress. Absolutely amazing. Everything is inside of this kit, even the micro SD card or SD card extension, so you don't need to open it up all the time. But you need to remove the GDEMU again if you already assembled it, and you need to assemble the completely like 3D printed kit, and you can just slide in and like that. And the overall result looks so much better. It also has the support from the 3D printed parts. Of course, you need to assemble a couple of screws that will be implemented in this kit. The final result is so much better. You can just click in your SD card and power it on and close the disk tray. And you can just easily swap your games this way. The kit is not very expensive, but combined with the GDEMU, it can go over 100 euros. Nevertheless, is one of those upgrades I think it's absolutely great to have. So we talked about the GDEMU, but also the Dreamshell. Both are different ways to play. But there's another product I picked up from AliExpress some time ago. So yeah, this has been some time ago. I recorded this 370, say around 70 euros, 320 for a completely modified Sega Dreamcast with a GDEMU and also an HDMI included. We didn't have many choices when it comes to colors. It was only like the PAL and the, let's say, other version, the Japan version. That's it. But now we have two more options, but the prices are completely different. Okay, so let's open it up and let's take a close look at the GDEMU. So the SD mod comes also including the 3D printed mod, and that is pretty cool because I think that's just more like a finishing touch to it. It has an SD extension, so this means you can very easily swap out the SD card. It comes with an 8 GB one. Okay, and the other thing is more like you have this button that you sometimes need for using the GDEMU options. And then we're having this extra slot, so if you want to have a spare SD card, you can put it in there. Okay, so let's take a close look at the back of the system, and here we're going to get two changes. Let's talk about the barrel jack at the back, because we're going to get an external power supply with this. Yep, the internal power supply has been replaced with one of the mods that is included in the system. So the next thing I wanted to do is very gently remove the top plate, because I want to take a closer look at the soldering skills and how did they make this. I will give them some extra wicked kudos simply because they have changed out the thermal pads. That's something more like a minor adjustment, but it can make a big difference. So in overall, this is what you're going to get in the inside. And the first thing I'm noticing that we're having an extra chip. So I didn't know that they were giving us an extra chip. They also included an extra thermal pad on the other chip over there. They did surprise me with this extra chip inside the Sega Dreamcast that I bought, because I didn't know it was in there. And they also didn't put it on the selling page that it was going to be including some extra things beside the GDEMU and of course the HDMI function. And the soldering, in my opinion, it's not really bad. But I think the main reason I opened it up, I want to take a close look at the DC HDMI. How did they do the soldering and how does it look? So, and overall, let's zoom in with the camera and let's check out how is the soldering. Okay, so I tried to zoom in with the maximum I can do with this camera to give you a good idea. Of course, best thing is the microscope, but I don't have this, so we'll do it with the best thing I'm having here. And in my opinion, again, the soldering is not really bad. So at the right side we're going to get the Wi-Fi antenna because the HDMI function has Wi-Fi capabilities. But in overall I am very pleased of the result and what we're going to get with this Dreamcast with HDMI functionalities. So when pressing the left and right trigger A and X and pressing start, we're going to get this special menu. We're having a lot of different things we can change out, like output resolution, advanced video settings, scan lines, video mode settings, firmware, Wi-Fi setup, and of course the test and info. Well, let's take a close look at the resolutions, what kind of different ones we're having and how does it look. The best thing that we can do, if you want to switch between the 480p, 960p or 1080p or the VGA, let's do in capturing. When you take a close look at the menu, we're having so many options like advanced video settings, de-interlacing 480i, de-interlacing 576i. There are so many different things you can adjust with this HDMI mod. So having the scanline option, so if you're into the scan lines, you can basically use different options with this. Video mode settings, force to VGA, cable detect, switch trick VGA, firmware, Wi-Fi setup, and of course the test info. So where you're paying way more now when it comes to a certain system like a Sega Dreamcast, but most of the time they also implemented NOC2FN, they implemented a battery replacement and also having a different kind of case. So you're going to pay more for it, but you're also going to get more. And this is actually one of the best ways to play and experience the Sega Dreamcast if you also want to play it on a modern television. So there are different ways to play and there are even more coming out. So in the future I wanted to check out some more Sega Dreamcast videos. I have some cool things coming up, so consider subscribing, hit that little bell, join me on this wicked adventure of some Sega Dreamcast to relive the past but also enjoy it in the future. Thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.